So I have my notes here, but I'm going to go over basically what happened today, what I was doing. This is phase two. We're on phase two. Again, phase one got passed in one trade. Coincidence. It was a coincidence. Ego. It was egotistical trade, egotistical risk, and just time. Everything was aligning. Today I did tape read. GU, as you can see here, all this sloppy price action, I was tape reading. And again, I did get tempted to push the button, but I controlled myself. Just today was a bank holiday. As you can see, it was a bank holiday for USD and Euro. So it just wasn't really high probability conditions, especially during the New York AM session. As you can see, after 10 o'clock, everything just started to get really, really sloppy. The market delivery wasn't really clear at all. And we still have my buy side and my sell side objective. As you can see, we met the buy side objective. I was tape reading today, really just trying to get a better feel for price. Again, just reading the market and just trying to get the skill of reading the market while even, taking a single trade. It's about the skill. The trades will come if you have the skill, the money will come if you have the skill. That's all it really is. That's all I've been focusing on here, as you can see. And this is more of a discretionary view because we weren't really going above the 15-minute time frame. And this is kind of what I plan on doing actually too, this right here. This is my my mocha layout here, which is just going from the 15 to 5 in the 1 minute and just reading price from those time frames. And then eventually, if we go to my V3 system, my V3 form is where my higher time frame directional premise is all at. It's my mechanical system, all my directional premise, everything there. Quick shout out to BTC. You can see BTC, ETH, Sol. And this is another thing too, the market is just skyrocketing up here. It makes me feel very demotivated, and that's what the video was about. Feeling demotivated, just not seeing the progression we want to see. And that's kind of why we're rushing things, and this is why we failed the phase two. We've been on phase two twice, once right here on a 10k, and then eventually here on a 5k. So we're gonna go to my latest one, which was the 5k one. You can see here we started off really good, and then eventually we started to just go really back down. And you see this was a 4% loss, and then this was around a 2% to 3% loss, as you can see there. The final one, this is the 4%, the first one, then eventually the final cut it off. It's a 2% loss right around here, and then eventually you lost the final one there. And then this is a regular 2% loss, 1% win, 2% win. And you can see the equity here was at basically almost around 3%, very close to reaching the profit target, which was 5%. Again, phase two, I've had this issue on phase two where I just tend to get really impulsive. I get really, impulsive, and I tend to rush the entries. I make irrational decisions trying to get over this phase to get to the funding stage. And then eventually the thought process behind that is once we get funded, we're going to get a payout, we're going to become profitable, we're going to do that consistently, and then we're going to repeat it over and over and over again, and we're just going to scale up from here. It isn't like that. I tend to remove results and outcomes from my trading now, especially especially whenever I'm trading, because there shouldn't be an outcome based driven mindset whenever you're in these prop firms. Like I talked about, the mindset to defeat these prop firms, you can't have that type of mentality, even though they want you to, but you can't. You have to eliminate the thought process of even the outcomes, of even just winning a trade or even taking a trade. You're gonna have to just delete that from your mind and just worry about the skill of reading price and just trying to understand the narrative of the market. And that's all you should be focusing on when you're trading these prop firms, or just whenever you're trading in general. And again, we need to study the wins and find out what makes them winners when we discretionary trade using ITC concepts and the mechanical model also. So probably implementing both, really using both to pass this phase two. So that's kind of what I want to do. I want to use my mechanical system, mix it with my discretionary view, and if I can combine both and use both of them to find the highest probability setup, risking 2%, aiming for 1 to 2.5 or 1 to 3, and just taking that, or maybe risking more. If I see something that's super high quality, risking a little bit more and just taking a 1-to-1 of a 4% risk. Focusing on daily habits and trying to become the dream version of ourselves, following those habits every day, and eventually the compound effect will occur. So this is something I've been, just really thinking about. Your day-to-day habits are so important. Don't focus only on trading. Focus on other things too, like your health, your mindset, and just try to ground yourself, meditate, read, journal, try to understand yourself, try to understand your flaws, because these flaws come outside of trading, they come into your trading. So that's something I've been trying to eliminate, especially the rushing, impatience, the greed, trying to get that out of my mind whenever I'm about to, hop into the charts. Just get rid of that, and come into this, the marketplace with a neutral mind and a rational mind, one that's, grounded, one that's prepared, and one that understands himself. And again, focusing on your daily habits to make you the individual that you need to be successful in trading. That's all it is. The compound effect, again, it will only take place after a consecutive amount of days, and it will compound after you have been consistent and disciplined for so long. And that's something I'm just trying to focus on right now in my day-to-day habits, my day-to-day routine. And again, like I was talking about, not really doing monk mode, making it a lifestyle. Monk mode is good, to get you started. But after that, you want to continue. And I've done monkey mode multiple times, and I enjoy that process. Right now, I just want to make it a lifestyle at this point. Like there's no need for me to just do monkey mode. I already know what I need to do, and just continuing to do it. Of course, you want to track it at first, but after you've done it for so long, you just make it second nature. Like these are just your habits. You do these consistently, and your mindset is different. Like you don't approach this. You don't think it's boring. You don't think reading is boring or meditating is boring. You find satisfaction in doing that, and you just know it's making you a better individual after you do the work. Or after you do those boring tasks or objectives, they make you a better individual, and they're making you closer to reaching your goals and the version of you that needs to be created to obtain the things that you desire or to reach the goals that you need to reach. So it's simple as that. Not worried about the money or trying to rush the process. Worry about the skill and trying to become the best version of yourself using that skill. Try to reach perfection using that skill. Everything else will come after. So this is a very, very important topic whenever it comes to trading. You don't want to rush. I think rushing is the worst thing you can do whenever you're trying to learn how to trade, because you don't learn properly. You skip certain steps. You eventually do certain things wrong, and you have the wrong mindset to approach, the market. And that just leads to more disaster. You think you're progressing, but you're not. It's like it's doing the opposite of what you expect it to do. So do not rush. That's kind of why I've been tape reading. I tape read. I don't trade certain days like this, and I'm just, whenever I have confusion like I am right now, like if I should use the mechanical or the discretionary, I'm just tape reading, taking it easy, tape read, and try to understand and review, and just just build a deeper understanding of what you want and why. Once you have the skill, everything else is there. Once you have the skill of reading the price, having your entry model perfected, your journaling, all that, annotations, and you just where the market is going to go and why. The entry model, everything else is pretty easy. Like the entry models, there's multiple entry models you can take. There's multiple ways of managing the trade that you can use. To have experience, you have to have the skill of just reading price for what it is without any bias, and just trying to understand why it's doing what it's doing. And that's the most important thing you want to do whenever you're first, approaching trading. And that's what I'm trying to do here in phase 2. I'm just trying to build a deeper understanding of reading the markets, and just trying to understand my narrative to, trying to build my narrative to a deeper level. So then eventually, phase 2 done, funding stage done, rinse and repeat, and just have the consistency and have the skill to then eventually be able to scale. The money would just come along the way, you just can't rush the process, and that's something you're gonna have to learn. So I was feeling demotivated to even wake up and to look at the charts, since we think we're not making any progress, since we haven't made any results from trading the FX firms. Because again, progress is the biggest motivation. If you don't have progress, that isn't motivation. And even then, if you're disciplined, you don't need to feel motivated to do the certain things. So that's when I realized I need to be disciplined. I need to be consistent in my approach of my everyday lifestyle, my habit. That's the most important thing. If you're disciplined, you don't need motivation. So right now, that's all I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to build that discipline to have good habits instilled, to then eventually not need motivation. I don't need motivation to perform this day or to perform that day, I don't need motivation. I don't need to see the progression or the results. I will continue doing what I have to do to become the best version of myself. That's all I'm worried about, is just becoming the best version of myself. So it isn't about seeing the progress. It isn't seeing the results, this, that. Even if you do see the results, even if you do see it, you're going to go what? You're going to become complacent. You're going to think, oh, you met it all. You've done it all. So you want to eliminate both sides. You don't care if you're not getting the results, and you don't care if you're getting the results either way, So building good habits, continuing to do that, make that a lifestyle, not worrying about the achievements or anything like that. If you're trying to become the best version of yourself, you're going to reach limits that you have never met, and you're going to continue to break limits that you never thought you'll be able to break. So that means you're not going to be complacent, and that means you're not going to be demotivated when you don't see certain things, or super, complacent or boastful or egotistical whenever you do achieve certain things. You're going to be neutral, and you're going to be humble. You're going to have gratitude. You're going to be humble, and you're going to continue doing the things that you have to do if you're trying to become the best version of yourself. And that's all I'm worried about too. Using visualization to believe it's possible and understand what we have to do, and doing it without any emotional input, simply being logical, but also loving ourselves, fear God only, in our day-to-day life, and not trying to become a robot, but someone with strong resilience and discipline to achieve the goals. Nothing comes easy. Learn from setbacks. Fear nothing but only God. Visualization to understand what my dream self would be doing, or what the version of me that makes 10K a month, what would I be doing? What type of mindset would I have? What habits would I have? What type of day-to-day lifestyle would I be living from day to day? How would my day be structured if, I had to dream about me making 10K a month? What would I be doing? What would be that dream version of me? That's what I use visualization for. And I just try to get a deeper understanding and a deeper picture whenever I put that into my mind to become that person. You can already become that person. It just simply takes time. And again, it results back to that compound effect. It takes time, takes discipline and consistency to get to that point, to get to those results. But even then, after you reach that point, you don't want to stop. You don't want to think that you've made it. You want to continue going, breaking new limits, and breaking new heights. And again, discipline to achieve the goals. Nothing comes easy. Nothing ever comes easy, I promise you. If anything comes easy, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. You have to learn from setbacks and fear nothing. Don't have any fear. Don't be afraid to take the risk. Don't be afraid to try anything. Don't be afraid of anything. Don't be afraid, because there's nothing to be afraid about. Only God, not living up to his expectation of the things that you have to do and the person that you have to become that he has, set in mind for, so just try to become the best version of yourself. Try to be better than you were yesterday, and that's all that matters. You're making progress. That's all that matters. Do not fear anything. Do not have doubt. Do not have any negativity in your mind. Of course it will come, of course you're going to have setbacks. Of course you're going to have challenging moments, but that's where you're tested upon your faith. That's where you're tested upon, will you be able to overcome this? How resilient are you? How strong are you mentally, and that's what either builds or breaks you. So working on impatience, greed, and self-control. I watched a Blasian video. That's where I got my inspiration from right there. My impatience really is just entering trades, not following my model. Again, on phase 2, I tend to get very, very impatient here. I get very impatient in phase 2. As you can see here, we got very, very impatient. We got very impatient because we were taking so many trades. The first week we did really well. Second week we were doing decent. And then eventually we started to rush the process, and we thought we have to make it. We have to make it. And then eventually see all red just from making bad trades, bad decisions, boom, boom, boom. All in like a couple of days, we lost 4%, risking taking bad setups, not knowing when to step away, not following the rules, being impatient. Greed, again, being greedy. This is all that happens when I'm on phase 2 because I'm so close. When in reality, it's not even worth, thinking about that. It's not even worth thinking about, if you're close to an objective or if you're close to an achievement. It doesn't matter. That does not matter. What matters is if you're following your rules, if you're being consistent, and if you're becoming better than you were yesterday. That's all that matters. If you're learning how to read price, build your narrative, experience, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter. Like today, I've built my narrative, to a deeper level of understanding, and I'm getting more experience. That's all that matters. Not having greed, not being like this, not taking it all, in one day and trying to win, trying to feel like you have to accomplish something and trying to rush it, whenever you're greedy, whenever you're asking for too much or you're risking too much or you're just trying to make it when you should be patient. Greed and patience really are the same thing, in my opinion. They both are in the same world. And you just don't want to have either one of them, because then eventually if you have impatience, you're likely going to have greed, so they're both really the same. And then eventually self-control also, so you have all three of these. Usually they're all around the same time, so you don't want to be doing that. You want to work on your impatience by being patient, by sitting on your hands, tape reading, not taking any trades, taking 1, 2 to 3 setups per week. That's all you need. The best traders don't trade every single day. Understand what are the high quality conditions and taking that only, not taking every single setup that you see. Waiting for the conditions to be met, waiting for your model to be met. And then eventually, once you see your trading model, you take it by having self-control, by waiting, by having patience. And then again, follow our rules: 1 trade a day, have good risk management, 1 to 2%. Might risk a little bit more because, if I see both the mechanical and discretionary views going together on a single market, understand our model and follow it. Again, submit to the time, being okay with no trades or losing day, learning from setbacks and using them as a roadmap of what to avoid or prevent. Not worried about the money, but rather our skill and consistency of following our rules. Only trading the breaker model. That's another thing. My discretionary view, I only plan on trading the breaker model. Inversion for early gaps, not really my type of style. 22 model, not really my type of style. But if it aligns with the breaker model or the unicorn model, I'll take it. And yeah. And then things we do wrong when discretionary trading: not following the higher time frame order flow. So lower time frame trades, not really following the higher time frame order flow. Something I can get wrong sometimes, especially if only on the 15, 5, and 1 minute. I'm not, sometimes you're too glued into the lower time frame, not really able to see the higher time frame. That's kind of why I'm trying to implement both to give me a more high probability trading conditions and setups. Not having the higher time frame PDA rate hit or CRT form daily on the 4 hour and then the 30-minute, 15-minute confluence. Again, using the mechanical model with discretionary views to make our trading or our trades more high probability, to give us more of an edge. Need time frames aligned: 1 hour, 15, 1 minute, all having the same order flow objective. So if the 1 hour is bullish, you wouldn't have the 15 and the 1 minute, aiming for the buy side objective. So that's pretty much really it. So yeah. Peace.